Yeah, I think there is.
Yeah, which one?
I don't know which one. I don't keep tabs on it.
Yeah, you're not justified.
Yeah, I don't care, man. Like
Well, you do. I mean, what else would explain why you like engage over and over again in like godless spanking you?
because
I don't
I care about
understand.
something. I care about something else because I'm trying to have uh, interesting conversations with people without being
Why
insulted
would
and being
wait,
belittled
but
constantly.
why would you care about having interesting conversations? You think everyone here is a nobody? We're
No,
not
I think you're
famous.
no. It's just
We're
you.
not
It's just
famous.
you.
No. Sasha's also a nobody, given those
No,
standards. No one knows
no,
Sasha outside of this app. No one knows
no.
Truthy outside
You
of
don't
this
know
app.
you don't
No
know what
one
my
knows
standard
Foley
is.
outside of this app, right?
My
We're just
stand
nobodies.
my standard is that you're a rude person, that you're not
That doesn't
charitable.
make me a nobody.
That's
I
what I
could be
mean
a
by
rude
nobody.
person. Yeah, I could be a rude person and be a somebody. There's no contradiction.
This is just my concept of nobody.
Well, who cares about your retarded concept, right? You could define
Who
a
cares if you care
nobody.
about my
You
concept?
could define a nobody as a microwave. Why the fuck should I care about that?
Why should I care if you care about my concept?
Why should I care if you care about my concept? Well, why invoke it then, dumbass?
Because what do you mean? What do you mean? Because I'm just expressing my opinion. It's not. You don't have to
Yeah, I don't
fucking
have any
accept it.
reason. There's no reason to accept your opinion. You're the NPC in the video game that Sasha was talking about.
My point is that you have no interest here other than to try and like insult me
My
and get like,
interest is to show that
yeah,
you
no,
have as
now
much value as John Lee as an NPC in the video game that Sasha was talking about.
that's fine. My point is that your interest here, and you just demonstrated it, is just to try and get like some gratification from making
No,
me feel bad because you like have a
that's your
hole in
own
your
fault if
because
you
you're
think
like
that you're
really
feeling bad. If you feel
no.
bad, that's on you. If you feel
I
bad,
didn't
that's
say
on
that
you.
I feel bad. I didn't say anything about that. That's how like that shows that you're clearly just not like
Okay. So how do you? Okay, so do
um
you feel? Okay, so great. So,
you're not a very good
Sean,
reasoner.
Do you have?
Okay, great. So
Sean,
no,
do you have an
I didn't
argument for
finish my
why
point.
you do you have an argument for why you won this debate, Sean?
I wasn't rejecting that. I was simply making the point that um, that you have a motivation here to try and make me feel bad in order to compensate for some depressive episode that you're constantly under. And
I
I'm
don't
not
see
here for
what
that.
assumption you have for that, right? Like to just have that motivation and not be depressed.
I could make a better case for it, but I don't think I need to. I think it's as evident that like means you have to reject one of your premises or something. That's what I mean by self defeating.
Okay. And there wasn't an instance in which you have a lot of background noise. There wasn't an instance in which the truth of the conclusion that she would have to give up on one of the premises in order to accept the conclusion.
Wait,
There
the whole
wasn't a
thing is,
single instance.
yeah, but look, I don't know, there's definitely some questions about this here. Like one of them is that it seems like she's saying that, in some sense, you should believe that, you should take her view, right? So she's in the
No,
dialectic.
I didn't
Why
hear her
would
make
she?
I didn't hear her make a normative claim either. She's just espousing her belief.
Yeah, but she's
She's
saying
just
other people.
reporting her belief. She's not making a normative claim in the context. Now, what you probably want to say is if you engage in an argument with someone, it implies or assumes that you're trying to move that person to their position and that you think
Well,
you should adopt their position.
No, it's
But
not.
that's
It has
not what
nothing to do with
she's.
that.
Okay, then what are you saying?
It just seems like you don't agree that radical skepticism is self defeating. but that doesn't mean
No,
I didn't give an
her
argument.
position isn't. She isn't making a normative. She also isn't making a normative claim and saying that you should adopt her position. She's just espousing her belief.
I don't know
Well,
why
okay,
you're
but
bringing in
really,
the normative
I
stuff.
well,
Because that's what Soli said. That's
well,
what
there's
Soli
but
said.
I know, but you haven't given me a second to talk
That's
for
not
like
what I'm
more
talking
than
about.
10 seconds. Right? So look, the inference rules that she's employing, right, to say that like if she wants to say I believe this on the basis of some inference, and I don't consider the inference justified, right? Then it's like, well, why on the basis of that inference do you believe this when any other sort of what we might consider invalid inference
I thought
structure
she
would
said
be
it was
justified?
arbitrary. I thought she said that it was arbitrary. She
No, but
doesn't
this is
have a reason.
right, but this is why it's a performative contradiction. And so self-defeating could mean a couple of different things, right? Like in one case it means like self-stultification, which is different from saying like just because she gives an argument that undercuts giving arguments doesn't mean that say the thesis is false. Like it could be the case that there is no justification, right? But if you say I have an inference that justifies the conclusion that there is no justification, then that would be self-stultifying. Now she's
Yeah, but
trying to say it's not justified the whole way along, right? But the point there is just like, well, then why wouldn't the arbitrariness also apply to her? Because she could just
There's
make some
also
other
she
trade.
is accepted. Look, she within her view, she's already accepting that there is arbitrariness. That's the point. It's not like what you've said is inconsistent with her view.
So
But
how
that's
can
just
you
to
oh
say
say
that
see
that
the
my view fails because it's arbitrary if her view is arbitrary and she accepts it?
No,
the
no, no.
the
Did
point the
she
point
say it
no,
was?
Arianus,
Did
look,
she say? I didn't hear her say. To be fair, in the conversation, I didn't hear her say that your view failed.
right? But the
Right, in
Yeah,
the
point
she
is
sense
said it's
of it's arbitrary.
arbitrary.
no, but the point
Right,
is
but
that
that's
according
just
to
a claim. Yeah, but when she says it's arbitrary, she's just saying you have no justification.
but
But
look
she also accepts that within her view. She also thinks that there is no justification
Yeah, I'm
within her
gonna
view
take that to
either.
be self-defeating. Like, you
the
don't
point
agree, so what?
the
Okay,
point, dude, look,
okay, who
it's not that
cares, right? The
complicated,
point
right?
is,
It's not that complicated. The point is that she doesn't think that on her view, she thinks that all the views are arbitrary, right? So on her view, she doesn't have any criteria to say that
There's
her view is preferable
there's no
to
reason to
those views.
accept or
yeah,
reject, to
but
prefer
she's
my
not
view
claiming.
to her
This is
view.
what you guys don't understand, right? It would only be an issue. It would only be an issue if the presuppositions of that statement were to be contradicted by something that she needs to perform in order to blurt out
okay.
that sentence. Wait, shut up, Truthy. She isn't saying that,
No,
right?
no. I have
She
something
isn't
I need to say to
saying
Sean.
she isn't saying, for example, I have this criteria that I'm building into my worldview in order to say that it's preferable or not, right? She could still remain a nihilist, but not like, I don't know, be committed to necessarily thinking that there's this criteria that's required for making her view preferable. Like that
Then
doesn't make any sense.
then I can then the point that right, then she can't undermine my view. That's the point. She can believe whatever she wants, but she can't but the argument can't
She's just
undermine
saying that
justification.
she's just saying, look, you're not even following.
You
She's
can't
just
you can't
saying,
undermine
given how she's
justification.
analyzing, that you guys are just so lost. She's just saying, given how she's analyzing the concept of justification, everything that you've said doesn't meet that demand, right?
No, she's
That's
not
all she's
saying that.
saying.
No, she's not saying
Okay,
that.
what else is she saying?
She's saying by my lights, I can't be justified. That I shouldn't be.
I don't think she said by your lights you wouldn't be justified. She's saying I have this
Yeah.
criteria of just she's saying this. I have
By
this
which no one
criteria.
is
Shut the
justified.
fuck up. Are you
No,
gonna let
you
me
shut the
talk?
fuck up. No, shut the
Shut the
fuck up.
fuck shut the fuck
No,
up. Look.
no, I'm not gonna shut the fuck up.
Stop spurging when I
You're
interrupt.
you're the one that's
Look,
spurging.
look, Sean, shut up.
Look, shut up. You're
Look,
spurging. Look, shut up. You're
Sean,
spurging.
are you
Let me
gonna let me
finish.
talk or do you wanna move down to the
Just
audience?
just kick me
Sean,
out. I don't give a
Sean,
shit.
she has the concept of justification as probability raising,
You're
right?
confused.
And
No,
then,
you're confused.
how am I
Let me help you.
confused? I'm telling you what her
Let me help
concept
you.
is and telling you
No,
how
you're
you
not.
don't meet her
I'm
demands.
trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. Her
But look,
concept is that nobody is justified, that nobody can
that's
be
not a
justified.
concept. That's not a you dumbass. That's not, look, the concept of justification that she has, she's just saying, like, one of the conditions for justification is that it raises the probability, right? And then she's taking what you're saying, and she wants to say that, for example, you can't justify the laws of logic without appealing to the laws of logic, so it would be circular. And like any instance of circular reasoning under her view wouldn't raise the probability. So
Well,
that would be an example.
No,
Shut
that's a
up,
different
shut up.
argument.
And so
there's a
that wouldn't be an
wrinkle.
example. I'm just giving you an example. So that would be an example of something that doesn't raise the probability.
Yeah, but see, there's further analysis on this, right? Which is that if you go one step in the justification chain and you say like A justifies B, right? So if I like somebody could agree that A raises the probability of B, and then she's going to ask, well, what justifies A, right? And so unless you have something else that raises the probability of A, then A doesn't count as justified, right? But the point is that you could just believe that justification is something local, and so if you just have a two-part relation of A justifies B, then you don't need a justification for A to say that you justified something,
Yeah, I
right?
understand, but she isn't localizing justification that
Right.
way.
That's why I'm saying
Right?
that's
She's
another
treating
criteria.
justification, yeah, she's treating justification more broadly as like
Well,
whatever raises the probability. Sorry?
it's a stricter criteria than just raising the
Yeah,
probability.
it's a stricter criteria, right? And the point is she isn't making a, a claim that falls to what Sean or you are trying to say about, okay, this is the criteria which would make it preferable to believe in it or something like that. She's not making a claim of preferences or even any normativity. So that's just
Sean,
a weird point to bring
Sean,
up.
which form of self defeat do you think she's engaged in? Because there's two kinds, and one
Epistemic.
kind is going to. Well, no, but like Sully kind of laid them out, but let me just relay them out because one instance of self defeat is going.
Self-stultifying and
Well,
self
one instance.
as a
Shut up,
performative
Arianus.
contradiction.
One of them is going to prove that something is true and the other one isn't. So self-stultification would be something like only empirical propositions can be known, but of course that's something you can't empirically verify. So it could be true, but you can't rationally accept it even if it's true. Basically
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
stultified. It doesn't.
That's
Okay,
it.
but then the other one is the performative self-falsification, something like no language exists, which you just proved its existence by uttering it. So, which one do you think she's committing?
I think she's doing both when you give an argument
Oh
for
my
radical
god.
skepticism. I think that's a performative contradiction, and I think it can't rationally be believed. So it looks like it's completely self-defeating.
Wait, so if she says no beliefs are justified, is that a self-stultifying statement?
That's not an argument, so no.
No, the claim.
I didn't say the claim was self-stultifying or
Okay,
performative contradiction.
what's the argument that she gave that you thought was self-stultifying?
The argument that um, um, just the classic regress argument for skepticism, that any belief is going to be justified circular, um, require an infinite series of justifications, or be arbitrary, quote unquote, and thus unjustified.
Okay, and does her epistemic standards, well, it's weird to say epistemic standards, but do her standards there make it impossible for her to prove that statement in of itself?
Yeah.
How so?
Well, because what do you mean? Well,
It's because she doesn't take
they
arguments
make
to
it.
be proved, right? She thinks that
Yeah,
Sorry?
because you can't. Yeah, because you can't
Sorry,
prove.
both of you were talking. Both one dick righted the other. What was Sully saying?
I said that, she doesn't think that arguments work as justifications or proofs for some conclusion, right? So whatever the conclusion of the argument is, the argument didn't confirm that conclusion.
Okay,
So, I mean, I
and
guess for me the question is like,
it's not her standard that she's trying to arrive at a conclusion that's justified.
yeah, but
That's
so
not
then
her
I just
standard.
don't understand like
What's her
what is it
standard
supposed
then?
no, but the point is like what is it supposed to be doing when she makes an argument?
Okay, but that's a different. Then it's just a question of like, okay, you're not able to comprehend what exactly she's trying to say by saying that like all arguments or conclusions to arguments are unjustified. But that's a different claim than saying it's self-stultifying.
No,
Well, I wrote it
Yes, it
earlier
it's
is.
to
You
suggest
fucking.
that.
Yes, it is.
self-stultifying
You
on that
fucking
view.
idiot. Yes, it is. You fucking idiot. Like, there's a difference
No,
between saying, okay, this is the type. Let's say this is the type of belief, like how Truthy gave it. Like, um, what is it? Truthy gave like an empiricism example where you can't justify that claim in of itself
Yeah,
empirically.
I can state
Well,
what it is. Like,
that's not what Godless. Yeah, but that's not what Godless is doing because Godless isn't claiming those standards in of itself to the claim.
well,
She
she's trying
isn't
to say, look,
claiming justification.
but she is at least saying something like, this argument gives you a reason to think that arguments don't give you reason, which is, that would be
Wait, say that
self-stultifying.
again. Sorry.
This argument gives you a reason to think that arguments don't give you reasons. That would be
No,
self-stultifying.
but she's not gonna affirm that it gives a reason because I've asked her before, like,
and
what are your reasons to believe? Because the second you start giving reasons, like, you're gonna be in a different situation. But I think she stays consistent and just kind of says that there isn't some specific chain of reasons that lead to the belief.
Yeah,
okay, well, it's either
she
self-defeating
doesn't
or
think there's a
it's like
chain of reasons. She doesn't think that there's a chain of justified reasons in order to get to that conclusion that there are no justified reasons.
yeah, no justified reasons, but there's an argument that gets to the conclusion. Like it's either self-defeating or it's like it just is it's like polemically toothless. It's just like
Well, no,
what's
I
going
mean,
on
I
here.
think Sully just said, Sully just replied to what I said, defending Godless's view by saying then he doesn't understand what point Godless is trying to make when she says that like all beliefs are either gonna bottom out at like circularity, dogmatism, or or infinite.
Yeah, and no
You
account
don't
has been
say gay
given.
shit like polemically toothless.
Yeah, and the polemically toothless thing is just like, okay, well then you can't meaningfully debate someone, and then she's gonna say, oh, who.
Yeah, I mean that's the stalemate. We're just at a
Yeah,
who cares. Like
that's what makes it a
what's the
performative
point?
contradiction, is because that's the conclusion of if she's driving towards while engaging in that
Exactly.
very.
What? No.
What do you mean?
So
If you're
you're a
just
bit.
like, what would be the point
What?
of
So
engaging
look,
in a
look.
debate?
There's a difference between saying you realize the difference between someone being a hypocrite and let's say committing to a performative contradiction. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me what that difference is?
Yeah, so I mean, somebody who's a hypocrite is saying something that, I mean, generally speaking, it's in the past they haven't acted in accord with what they're saying other people should act in accord with, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so performative contradiction is when you're doing it, like when your act of decrying something is that very thing.
Sorry, say that again.
So it's like when you're decrying something or your critique includes the thing you're critiquing, right? You're doing the thing you're critiquing in your.
Yeah, the
That's a
propositional
performative
content.
contradiction.
It has to be that the propositional content of the very statement itself contradicts the presuppositions of making that assertion. But she isn't.
Yeah.
She is the pro. But this isn't an example of that, right? Because she isn't. She isn't. For example, it's not like the act. It's not like the speech act when she blurts out, "There is no justification." It is also going to be like, I don't know, presupposing that she needs to justify that statement in a dialectical context. It could just be that she's making that statement, for example, and it doesn't require patting herself on the back epistemically for doing.
Yeah,
You
but
might
so I
say
think
you might say that that makes debate fruitless. Like if we were to do it that way, there wouldn't be any point because she's not justified, I'm not justified. What are we even doing? But that seems like more of a pragmatic critique than actually saying that her making the claim that no beliefs are justified is tantamount to saying that language has no meaning, or I'm not using words in this sense.
Wait, Sean, did you ask her why she believes a particular thing rather than some other thing?
Yeah, why she believes what do you mean? About
Like,
what?
did you try to press her to give some type of an account as to why she believes
I mean,
whatever
I
she's
want to
expressing?
capitalize on this point though, solely.
Yeah, it's
So
arbitrary.
you wanted to claim that, like, saying no beliefs are justified is like on, let's say, the same level of saying I am dead.
No, 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 no. I never. So if the
So,
thesis, right? Look, wait, hold on.
but that's
Wait, don't jump
Sean.
to
That
it.
it
No, look,
seems
I got to
it
say
seems
five
like
words. All
you
right.
are.
Okay, look. I'm not gonna talk if you're gonna cut me off after 5 words. So do you want to talk or no?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk.
Yeah. So look, just the sort of proposition that there are no justifications, right? Defined however you want, right? That's not um, self-defeating in the strong sense, right? So like it's not the case that if it were true it would be false or something like that, right? The performative contradiction part, like the self-stultifying part, like again, is if you say this argument gives you a reason to think that arguments don't give you reasons, right, for holding certain beliefs. That part is performative.
Yeah, but she isn't claiming that you would have a reason.
But see, that just means that any argument that she makes has no force on her by
Okay,
her
but
life.
okay, but she already grants that it's polemically toothless, right? The problem with Sean's
It's
critique
pragmatically
is
so.
that she thinks, yeah, she thinks that it's also a performative contradiction, and I already pointed out that that's not the case. He's wrong in saying that it is, because she isn't, for example, making a claim that you have a reason in thinking that arguments wouldn't give you a reason to believe in anything. She's not saying that there is a reason. In fact,
Well, what else?
she explicitly said in that debate that it was arbitrary. She doesn't have a reason for holding the view the same way that she thinks that you don't have a reason for holding. Now, the
Right, but does
point
she want to?
is,
But does she want to say that if both of the premises of a modus ponens are true, that you have reason to believe the conclusion? Would she deny that? Because that's what I think she's going to have
I
to
don't
deny
know.
that too.
We have to ask her, right? But given what I've heard, she didn't commit explicitly or implicitly to saying that there is a reason to accept her critique of, and that's what matters, right? And the other stuff relating to it is, why do you think, because it's dialectically toothless, so that implies that when she's saying no beliefs are justified, she has to employ justification for that? Why does she have to employ justification for that statement? Does she have to employ some method of justification in order to make that statement, Sean?
What statement?
That no beliefs are justified?
She's employing like a method of reasoning. Like she doesn't think, obviously she doesn't think that reasoning is justified, or reasoning involves like justified steps, making uh, inference from one
But the question is,
justified premise to
given
another.
how no, this isn't getting to the point. Given how she defined justification, given her concept of justification, that requires some like probability raising mechanism for the belief. Is she doing that for her own belief that no beliefs are justified? Is she doing?
That's the point. Is that there's nothing
No,
justificatory about any of her
no,
assertions.
no. She's not. She's
So I
not
can just
employing.
ignore them.
No, no. You're just so lost, right? When she's making that speech act, right? She's not, for example, saying nor even trying to imply, given her own actions, that she does have probability raising reasons for her own.
Yeah, Shruti just asked her why we should take the argument for nihilism seriously, or why I should accept it, or if she's giving you a reason to believe, or whatever, right? And just saying that, well, I can give modus ponens arguments to people who think that modus ponens is true, or that think that like the laws of logic are true, and that arguments are justified or something. That doesn't answer the question. That's the point.
Okay, but like whatever, like let's just steel man what she's
Sorry.
saying, and if what she's saying is like she thinks that the whole rational enterprise is bunk, however you don't, so she's gonna play your language game, and for you, she thinks there's like this weightiness to this argument, right? Because if it does go through, then it undermines something you're committed to. So you could be charitable like that, but then you can just assess the
But
argument on its merits.
I can do that, but that's not what we're talking about. I'm just asking why I should believe the uh, the hidden premise, the starting point that justification is bunk. The argument for that. That's what we're talking about. This whole thing about modus, she can still give modus ponens if you think that modus ponens. It's not addressing it's not answering the question. That's the
Well, what was the
Oh my
argument she
god.
rendered?
Oh my.
what's the problem.
Look, why do you think that all of this stuff has to be normative?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just asking why. Why should I believe
Alright,
radical
let's say she
skepticism?
doesn't. No, look, let's just say she doesn't think it's normative. Like, what's the objection then?
What do you mean? What are you saying is the answer to the question?
I don't know what question you're asking, kind of.
Why should I believe radical skepticism?
You shouldn't.
Okay, good. I agree.
Yeah, but that's not the point of giving the
Oh
argument.
my god.
What's the point of giving the argument?
Yeah, that's really the big question.
Look, you ever like play a video game?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, you know how they're like these NPCs,
Okay.
and like you can press different dialogue options with them, and they're gonna do like different things based on that. Like I don't think
Okay.
there is anything like normative going on there. Like when you say to like the villager, like, sell me the like boar for 5 gold pieces or something.
Okay, so you think that this argument is some kind of like
Well, then, if
And then
there's
the
just
and then the
there is no
villager and then the villager might say like, "Well, you're crazy. This is like a huge boar. It's gonna be like at least 7 gold pieces." And you say, "All right, I'll give you 6." Like I don't think you think like, "Oh, the villager should be responsive to me," like saying that like the boar is not that big or something. Like, you know, it's just you're like expecting a certain interaction. Like,
I think it's problematic if you like just drop normativity, but I don't think we have to
why?
put the objection.
Why?
I don't think we have to put the objection that way. The point is, I'm just asking, like,
Well,
what's
that's the
the
way you put
reason?
it. Why, that's the way you put it. You put it in normative terms. I'm
Right, but
just
I
asking
can
like
put
what
it.
happens if we take like the normativity out of it.
well,
Then
in
I'm
that
still left
case,
with the
But
question:
if you
what's the
take
reason to believe?
reasons, if you take reasons out of it, what's the problem there?
so then like arguments are no longer some kind of rational
Just
enterprise.
No,
just
they're not.
assess the argument
Yeah,
on its
she's
own
trying.
terms.
What the point is? She doesn't treat arguments themselves as a rational enterprise,
Who
right?
cares what she
They're
thinks?
not in that.
Who cares what she thinks, Sean? Like, what is the
Well,
argument as far
that's
as you
an end.
understand it?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What is the We know what I know what the argument is.
What
I
is
just
it?
told the regress argument, the same argument that's always given for radical skepticism.
How's it go?
If there's, didn't we just go over this? If
Clarence,
there's no,
Well, why
like,
can't you guys take Yale? Why not just take
every
Yale?
every belief has to have a reason. Um, the reason is either arbitrary, circular, or requires an infinite chain of reasons. Therefore, no beliefs are justified, or something.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the actual argument is and like which premise you object to and how you're objecting to it.
Hey, Sean, look at my PF.
What? What do you mean? That is the argument. The first premise is all. all beliefs require a reason. The second premise is
Well, no,
the reason.
it's a requisite for knowledge, right? So it's saying in order to have knowledge, you must have justification for that belief. You must then have a further justification for that, right?
Yeah, whatever, however you want to put it. I mean, it's just like it's a classic argument. Why do you
Okay,
need me
and
to repeat it for you verbatim?
and you're rejecting one of these premises on the grounds of what? Foundationalism?
We're going to reject a bunch of stuff about the
Well, look,
argument, but or
typically
about
typically the skeptic is going to go, look, it's like a disjunctive kind of syllogism where they're just going to say not foundationalism, not coherentism, and not infinitism, right? And then so therefore skepticism, because those are the exclusive options to maintain some theory of justification, right? And so I mean, you have to give an argument against each view, which is just basically going to be like, well, it's this view that bottoms, it's just going to basically restate what the view is and call that an argument against.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to see what the problem is, Sean.
what do you mean? First of
What's the
all, I'm
problem
like,
with the view?
what's the problem?
She doesn't think that any beliefs are justified, and there's no reason to believe in that claim.
Yeah, we've been over that. That's self-defeating.
Why? Is she trying to employ some, I don't know, some assumption that there's a reason that you need to believe that?
Yeah.
No, that's false.
If it's false, then it's just like, then I can just ignore it. That's the point. It's either self-defeating
Why
or it's
aren't
just
you
like
doing
not
No,
an
it's
that?
argument.
false
Why
on
aren't you
your
doing
part.
that? You're just doing a performative contradiction. If you think that's the point, then ignore it. Stop talking about this.
What are you talking about? What's your point?
I don't understand, like, whenever I
I,
make a point, you just
I,
ask me like, oh, what
yeah,
does that mean, right? Like,
yeah.
do
I
you
don't know
not
why you're
understand? Do you
saying the
not
things that you're
understand?
saying. No, I
Like,
don't.
what do you not understand about them? Do you like not understand the word, the syntax? Like, what's the problem?
Yeah, I don't understand the meaning. I don't understand what you're trying to say.
The meaning of what?
Your statements, whenever you say shit.
Like the entire sentence.
Look, whatever you just said, I didn't get it.
Like I spoke like I said like 2 sentences in like grammatically correct English. I didn't use made
Yeah.
up words. Like, what's the problem? Like, what did you not
What's
understand?
your problem with me?
So look, Sean,
Start with that.
are you still holding on to that claim that her view is a performative contradiction?
I'm not sure about performative contradiction. My claim is that it's self-defeating.
Well,
Okay,
again, I
how?
think that's too strong a claim, right? Which I will defend godless here in
What
saying
do
that,
you
like,
think, Sully?
just the proposition that no justifications exist is not self-defeating in the strong sense, because that could be true and it wouldn't
How
therefore
is it
be
in the
false.
weak sense?
Well, no. I think that, as Truthy was pointing out before, self-stultification or performative contradiction has to do with your activities, right? You can only do a performative contradiction
Correct.
in some deliverance of this thesis, right?
Correct.
So that's where I think the issue is.
Okay, explain how it's self-stultifying.
Yeah. So again, like, I mean, I said this earlier, right? So the idea is that, at least implicitly, it seems to be what you're saying is, here is an argument that gives you a reason to think that arguments can't give you reasons. I said that a couple times, right? Now, you could say I'm falsely characterizing what she's doing, but if you take it that that's what she's doing, then that would be a performative contradiction.
Well, but that's not the nature of her view. She doesn't treat arguments as the types of things that give you a reason to believe in something.
Right. Again, like, I understand what
It's
the view
outside
is.
of that enterprise. So if they're outside of that enterprise, if she claims that they're outside of that enterprise, what's the problem with that claim?
Well, again, the problem isn't with the claims, right? The problem is with the activities in defense of the claims, right? That's the
Okay,
point.
and what's the problem with the activity in defense of the claim?
Because, okay, so I think implicitly when you give somebody an argument that the intention behind giving them an argument is to give them a reason, right? That you, if you want to say modus ponens, right, that you think that if the person accepts the first two premises, then they have a reason to accept the conclusion. And that's like, if you don't think that, right, then when you give an argument, it doesn't, you could give modus morons or modus ponens and it would make no difference.
Yeah,
What if
but
she
look,
just says, sorry, go
she's
ahead.
doing an she's doing an internal critique at the end of the day, right? She's doing the same thing that the atheist skeptic does against the
No,
tag proponent. Yeah, what she's doing is she's saying, look, I
no,
don't buy into anything about your system at all, but
this is
here's
bullshit.
some things that you do buy into, and you can assess my argument on its merits, right?
We've been
And
over
not,
this.
Oh my
yeah, she
god.
doesn't give a
We're
fuck.
Sasha,
talking
what
about
are
She
the
you
argument for radical skepticism. We're not talking about this like whatever undermining she wants to do about other people's position.
No, but he's
Sasha,
right
what
that
are
it
you
is
It's,
like,
saying?
it's gonna rest on that argument.
he's right that it
Sean,
is like tag
you're
though.
right, Sean. Let Sasha. Sasha wanted to chime in. What?
I mean, I already said it. Just like whenever I speak, Sean loses his ability to speak English. So
Okay,
I don't know if
we
I can do
won't let
much.
Sean. We won't let
So
Sean
just shut
like
up.
engage him.
I mean, it's not about interrupting. It's just, I want to like explain something to him, and then he's like, what does that mean?"
So just shut up.
So
I mean,
Sully,
Arianus asked me to like speak. I don't.
Oh yeah, and you're commenting about
okay,
something else. So just shut up.
Sully. So if you remove that intention from the picture and that analysis of arguments, right? What's left? What's the problem?
Well, then again, right, remember, right, like what I said is if you just reject that, what you're doing is implying that accepting the two premises gives you a reason to accept the conclusion. Then like it doesn't make a difference whether you give somebody a modus ponens or a modus morons to you now by your lights. Like you may as well give them either one. Right?
Yeah, but then reasons just like, look, for there to be no difference, reasons would have to be like expect. I mean, look, obviously you expect different things when giving people modus morans versus modus ponens, right? So then it
You
sounds like,
expect, well,
okay,
see,
then
this is the
reason.
thing. The expectation then becomes like the point is that when you say you have an expectation, it means that like you have a reason to think that saying it in this way will elicit a certain reaction.
Why can't an expectation just be functional?
That would be a functional. Like, so look, even if you're doing the video game thing you said earlier, it's like you have an expectation that if you